This is the pheasant tail nymph. Okay, so we just tie on a bed of thread right down to the back. And when you get to just where the barb used to be, and clip off. Now you're going to take your pheasant, but what you want to do is about a quarter of the hook shank off the back, trailing off the back for the tail. So take your pinch technique and then wrap it in, and you'll have a nice little fan tail there. So once you get that in there and you're happy with your tail, you can do a few wraps forward and clip it off. Now you're going to take that copper wire, and that's your rib. You loop that down, and you can use the Sheldon seal method of locking in your copper just by, after a couple of wraps, just fold your copper over. Okay, now the body material, that's your longer piece of the pheasant. And again, you're going to want about at least 6 good long fibers. And you're tying it so that you're tying your tips in and your shaft is pointing backwards. Now you're going to advance your thread, whatever your eye is, 2 times back. Take your hackle pliers, and you're going to wrap the pheasant forward. So when you get up to 3/4 to the eye, that's where you're going to lock it in and tie it off. So now, okay, you're going to take the copper wire and you're going to counter wrap. You're going to go in the opposite direction that you wrap the pheasant tail. When you get up to where your tying thread is tied off, just do a couple of wraps, 2 or 3, and then you can tie off the copper and break off. Okay, this is where the other pheasant tail comes in. You're holding your tips towards the eye of the fly, the shaft is going backwards. You're going to trim your tips square, and you're going to tie it in so everything's folding back, just like you did with the body. So tie it back to where your pheasant tail body is. You can see that it's now facing backwards. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is take our peacock herl and we're going to wrap it, and that's going to become the thorax. So tie that in and then trim. Take your hackle pliers or do it by hand. And just bring it forward and then tie it off. So you got just a nice kind of a bulky little body there. And you're going to have lots of stuff hanging left over, so trim it off and you can use that for another fly. Take your pheasant tail strands and with your left hand and your finger, just push that down so it's all coming over top of, right up around the eye. Okay, you're going to take your thread and just do a nice loose wrap and another one, and then snug it down. So once you've got that stage, you're then going to take your feathers and bend them backwards. And when you bend them backwards, try to separate them in half. So you got some fibers sticking off the right, some off the left. And then a couple of wraps over top of that. Throw in a half hitch. And you can whip finish.